Hey everybody, it's me Amanda with Once in a Wild, and welcome back to Once in a Wild Wednesday, where we broadcast each and every Wednesday evening at 6:30 p.m. Central Time, right here on Facebook and right here on YouTube. If you haven't started following us on Facebook or YouTube, well, subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on Facebook because that helps us out quite a bit. Liking the videos, sharing the videos, commenting, ringing the notification bell on YouTube, and all of those things help us out quite a bit for free. And also following us over on Instagram at Once in a Wild Zoo, as well as Pinterest. And well, we have Pinterest, but we also have Twitter, and we also have TikTok, and we have all sorts of things. All of those are found in the description box down below, and you can also find the links at onceinawild.com, which is our main website. Without further ado, let's go ahead and begin. So how has everybody been doing this week? I hope you are doing very well. We've been extremely busy, and it's extremely hot here in South Texas, and that sums it up for me on our end. And if this is your first time visiting Once in a Wild Wednesday and tuning in, thank you so much for tuning in. We are very happy to have new followers all the time. You guys are fantastic. And for those of you that have been following us for a long time, welcome back. And we are very excited to see you as well. But if this is your first time watching me or seeing my face, welcome, and it's nice to meet you. And we are Once in a Wild. We are a mobile zoo. And what does that mean? Well, we are basically an animal outreach. What does that mean? Well, we are based in South Texas, like I said before, and we are in San Antonio, Texas, and we basically can bring zoos to events. We can bring zoos to classrooms as well, and we can also provide animal therapy for some situations too, like nursing homes, hospitals, and right to your home as well. So all sorts of things we can actually provide to you with our wonderful animal ambassadors. We do have mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, and even creepy crawlies like invertebrates and bugs, etc. So we have all sorts of things here at Once in a Wild that can actually travel and meet you in person. But we can also bring the zoo to you virtually as well. If this year has taught us anything, it's how to adapt. And we have adapted to becoming a virtual zoo as well. So now we have our own YouTube and Facebook and all sorts of social media where we can actually provide you live streams once a week. But we can also bring the zoo to you for your private encounter that you can book with us. And you can actually arrange your own kind of Zoom or Google meeting and have your own meeting for your next birthday party or just for fun, maybe an office visit, something like that. They've been very, very popular this year with classrooms as well, very educational, and of course, a lot of fun. Thank you, Ash, for being here. All the way from Miami, some of my biggest fans all the way out there. It's good to see you back again. I've missed you for a couple of weeks, and I hope you guys are doing well out there in Florida. I know you guys have been very busy, so I understand. Me too. We're busy as well, so I totally understand. But I hope you guys have had a good week. What else can we do here at Once in a Wild? Well, if you follow us on social media, you can actually keep up with what we're doing. We do also offer public events here in San Antonio and surrounding cities sometimes, in New Braunfels and things like that. And we are actually going to be having some public events coming up, I believe, in August, early August, and for a few weeks. So we are going to post whenever those are. I can't remember all the dates right now, because we just committed to them not too long ago. But we will post them at onceinawild.com, and we always, update you guys on our social media too. So check out onceinawild.com for further details on your public events that you can actually attend and come see our animals in person. We typically bring our mini petting zoo scenario, which happens to be our Flemish giant rabbit, our 2 Pekin ducks, our guinea pigs, our tortoises, and we also usually bring a bearded dragon and sometimes a snake as well to meet you guys. And that's usually like a promotional type event where you can actually pay a small donation to be able to come in and hang out with some of our animals for a little while. And it's always a lot of fun. And you can also rent that same setup, the petting zoo scenario, for your next event too. So if you have like smaller children, or you want a more relaxed and casual type encounter for your event, something kind of, come and go, no pressure, no attention span needed. You can come and go at your leisure. That is better suited for you. Something like that, something where you guys just take turns and meeting the animals, taking photos with them, things like that. We can also bring the animals for just photo opportunities too. We have a long list of choices for our animals. We have over 70 animal ambassadors here at Once in a Wild, and you can choose almost all of them well, almost any of them, I should say, usually up to 8 per session, per hour session. And you guys can pick the animals that you want to come to your next photo session, event. The petting zoo scenario is fine, or we can do a presentation with multiple animals coming out one by one. And we can also, of course, do the virtual presentations, like I said already. So it's good to see everybody chiming in. If you are out there watching us virtually, please chime in with a comment or a question for me. This is always very interactive, and that makes it a little bit easier on me to have kind of prompting questions and comments. So I really appreciate that, and I appreciate any comments to encourage us. If you do want to donate to our little zoo, we very much appreciate that. As always, you can donate to the animals via Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal. All of those links are actually at onceinawild.com and in the description box down below for your convenience. But at onceinawild.com, if you scroll down to the bottom and you click that donate button, that will show you all of your options to donate. It can be Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, and even our Amazon wish list, where you can donate your choice of items that we've pre-selected for the animals, and they send them right to us, which is a lot of fun too. So now, what are we doing today? I think I've covered everything. And if you guys ever have any questions whatsoever, feel free to comment during the live stream now, or you can always message us on social media, or you can actually just give us a call right down below. We do have texting and calling capabilities. There we go. And we can also even talk to you and chat with you on the website too. If you ever have questions about our programs or anything at all, you need help with your animals, or you have maybe you have found a snake in your backyard. It is snake season and wildlife season in general. Lots and lots of baby animals everywhere, and lots of snakes and reptiles popping out for the warm season, right? So a lot of people will see snakes in their backyard, or lizards, or whatever they may be, and they don't know what to do. They don't know if they find a baby animal, where to take it. So feel free to text or call us anytime for animal advice. We're here for you. We're here to help. I've been doing this kind of stuff for a long time, and I am a snake expert, so I can let you know what type of snake it is, if it's a safe snake to just kind of leave in your backyard, or if it's a snake that's not so safe to touch, but you want it maybe taken away and put somewhere else appropriate by a professional, we can definitely let you know what species you have. So that's something we can also help you with as well. Or if you have animal care advice that you need, or you're just curious about something about your own animals, let me know. Hello, Richard. It is so nice to see you. It's been a while. I hope you're doing well. I hope your kiddo is doing well as well. Hello, Ricardo. Nice wave. Penny says, love what you're doing. Thank you for your help identifying snakes we encounter. Yes, I told you, I really do that. I don't mind at all. I would much rather you guys ask instead of harming the animals and things like that. We don't encourage you guys to harm snakes or any wildlife in your backyards or otherwise. We want to leave them alone, and they'll leave you alone for the most part, right? But if you're curious what you have, we can always let you know what to do and what you have in your backyard. What up, Matt? It's nice to see you. So nice to have you two come in and comment. Thank you very much. I hope you're doing well as well. Love the cute little logo on your profile picture. All right, and Richard, I kind of missed the fish photo, but I like this one as well with your sunglasses on. Super cute. I hope you're doing well too. So today I have brought you guys 2 animal ambassadors, and one is actually going to be kind of an update on their progress and growth and just how they're doing. I'm sure you're curious. And that's actually going to be one of our opossums. Alice is going to be coming out first. And then we have another animal, Lulu, the Tegu, is coming out after Alice. You might be thinking, what the heck do they have in common? One is a mammal, and it's actually a United States native. They are native to Texas and all over the US and Canada and a little bit of Mexico as well. The opossum is going to be the only type of marsupial that we have right here in our own backyards in Texas and the United States and North America as well, like I mentioned. So they are related to like kangaroos, koalas, wallabies, tree kangaroos, Tasmanian devils. All of those are marsupials too. And there is a such animal called a possum as well that lives in the old world, so like Australasia and things like that. And possums are over there, and opossums are the ones that we have. And there are other types of and species of opossum in the New World, like North America and South America. Those are opossums. That's the big difference, is where they're located. But both opossums and possums, which live in the old world, like I said, they're marsupials. So marsupials tend to have babies that are super tiny, and they tend to have a pocket for their babies called a pouch. And that's what makes them a marsupial. They're a little bit more primitive, I should say, a lot more primitive than other mammal species, but they're still mammals. They have hair on their bodies. All mammals have hair on their body, at least at some point. Did you know that dolphins are mammal? And dolphins have mustaches when they're born, or kind of like whiskers. And then their whiskers fall out, but it still counts as them having hair at some point in their life. Isn't that neat? A little segue into dolphin facts for you. I used to work at SeaWorld, so we talked about dolphins all the time. But other mammals, for the most part, keep their hair, right? And opossums certainly have hair all over their bodies, except for their tail and their palms. Like us, they have bare palms for gripping things. And so that's a feature of all mammals, hair, and giving milk to their babies. That's going to be another feature of all mammals. Mammals give milk to their young babies, but marsupials are very, very special. They give birth to very tiny, underdeveloped, super duper teeny tiny babies, and opossums are born about the size of a little jelly bean or gummy bear, and they're hairless at that point, but they get hair later. So remember, mammals have hair at some point, but they're born hairless, they're born blind, and they're born deaf. They can feel, they can smell, they can taste, and they typically use their sense of touch and smell to find their mom's pouch, because when they're born, they're only a couple of weeks old, and they're certainly not ready to be out and about. So they have to go back into mom, for lack of a better term. They go back into their mother, into the pouch, and that is actually where they finish growing up and where they start drinking milk. And what happened to our opossum, Alice, is she was actually found way too young to be on her own yet. And after the babies go into the pouch, they stay in the pouch for a couple of months typically and do a lot of nursing, a lot of growing. There's typically around a dozen babies that can share nursing areas inside of mom's pouch. But if it's over a dozen, actually, if it's over 13, I take it back. It's 13 areas to nurse, but typically I like to round it to a dozen because that's how my brain works and remembers information. But they can actually nurse up to 13 babies. So I take it back. So, but if there's over 13, then they have to kind of share and take turns on places to nurse. So it typically doesn't work out very well. So 13 ends up being typically the maximum unless they're willing to share, etc. But they will spend about 2 months inside the pouch, and then they start coming out of the pouch to explore a little bit. They start eating a little bit of solids and things, and then they're going to come out onto mom's back when they're too big for the pouch. They'll still might go into nurse a little bit, but not for very much longer than that. Usually when they're out of the pouch on mom's back, that's when they're eating more solid food most of the time. And then they're going to spend another month or so with mom, and they will actually leave their mom at anywhere from 3.5 to 4 months. 4 months is kind of pushing it, but really what determines when they leave is how much room they have left. So if mom is like a bigger opossum and they have tons of room, they might stay a little bit longer with mom. Or if they're a smaller baby, maybe they're females, because females are smaller, they might stay with mom a little longer as long as there's room to kind of hang out on her back. So that's what kind of determines when they leave. So what happened to Alice, before you meet her, I want to tell you her story. What happened to Alice is she was found super young. She was only, I don't know, maybe still in and out of the pouch size. So we don't really know how old exactly, but she was super tiny, definitely still needing a little bit of care, right? So she actually was found by a Good Samaritan, somebody in their backyard. They found her and they said, oh my gosh, this is a teeny tiny little baby opossum, probably not old enough to be on their own. Typically, when you find opossums, though, they are old enough. They actually have a little bit longer of hair. It's something to look up, but they have totally different features. They're very capable of running and climbing and all of that, and eating on their own just fine. But Alice was just too small. She definitely didn't have that longer hair. She kind of looked more sleek, almost like a rodent looks, kind of rat-like, and just too young. So they basically were able to get her to a wildlife rehabber who was able to nurse her a little bit more back to health and a little bit older, make sure she was able to survive. But she's far too tame to be re-released back into the wild. Alice is actually super duper used to people and not shy. She's very, very easy to handle. And when I bring her out, you'll see how big she's gotten. When we first had her on the program, I don't even remember when that was. Must have been like March or so. She was probably only maybe like 6 weeks old at that point, more or less. And I can't remember exactly, so don't quote me. But you can look back at the first video. And there's another video on the progress of both Cooper and Alice, because we have 2 opossums. I just brought Alice today just to make it a little bit more easier on me. But we do have 2 opossums. And the last time they were on here, they had grown quite a bit, but wait till you see how much she's grown now. And I do apologize because I didn't weigh her, but I can weigh her and let you guys know how much she weighs in social media or something like that. So that is the story of how we got Alice. She's just a little bit too tame and used to people. If she were to be re-released, she probably would be okay. But if she came up to the wrong cat or dog, human, or even predator, she may not have that instinctive fear, and then she may not make it. So she was deemed non-releasable. So that means that they have to go to another home, whether it be a zoo or a mobile zoo like us, or somewhere that can take care of her. They are not legal pets, so they can't just be kept by anybody, which is why the first person that found her could not just keep her legally. But the wildlife rehabber was obviously, she's licensed and has a lot of experience, so she's able to take care of her. And then she was able to turn over custody to somebody like us, right? So that's pretty cool. So let's go ahead and bring her out. See how she does. She's already had her snacks inside of her. The squeaking was not her, by the way. The squeaking is just the door of her travel crate that she hangs out in before she comes out on show. They actually travel really, really well. Opossums are some of the easiest animals to travel around with because they love to sleep a lot. So they do like to kind of curl up underneath a blanket inside of their crate. That's me. That's my impersonation of them crawling under a blanket, if you couldn't tell. It's not a dance move. It's actually actually the blanket. And they kind of curl up and go to sleep. They are considered to be a nocturnal animal, but they can adjust very well to our schedules. You ready to come out? So that was the door of the crate opening, not her squeaking or anything like that. Just want to let you guys know. So they travel very well. They tend to be very clean when they travel as well, usually. Here she is. Can you believe how big she's gotten? Alice, I would venture to say, is a few pounds already, and I will weigh her after this to make sure I'm right. But they do grow very fast, and that's my least favorite thing about opossums is their short life expectancy. They're born at 2 weeks old, or 2 weeks old. Well, the mother is pregnant for 2 weeks, and then they're born, and not a very long gestation at all. They're super tiny. And then they have to go back into the pouch to finish growing, don't they? And she is only, 4.5 months, you guys, and she's already this big. Go back and watch the old videos. It's on a live stream playlist for you, very easy to find. And you can see those other 2 opossum videos that we had, live streams, and you can see the progress of growth. Look how big she is. She's so huge. So the females are far smaller than the males. Males can actually be about twice as big as female, and she's still pretty small for an opossum. You've probably seen a mama opossum running around at some point in your life, or at least a video of one. Are you going to hide your head and show your best side? But they're super neat, aren't they? I love their gripping hands. They look like they're wearing fingerless gloves all the time. They have white fingers and kind of black arms, which is so cute. I'm going to make sure she's balanced and hold her up right here. You can see her hanging onto my other hand with her tail. They do have a prehensile tail, which is actually hairless. And they do use it for gripping, and that's why it's hairless. So it's not 100% hairless. There's actually a little bit of hair, like fine hair, as if, maybe like on my arm or something like that. Some people are hairier than others, I guess. But they do have a little bit of kind of soft and white hair, but it's very sparse, isn't it? And scarce. And that gives them a better grip. Just like your palms don't really have hair on them either, do they? If they do, then I don't judge you. But for the most part, our palms are bare, and that helps us to grip a little bit better on whatever we're holding on to. And that's the same concept with a bare tail like this. A rat also has a bare semi-prehensile tail. These guys have a much more strong prehensile tail than a rat does, but rats can actually use their tail for very good balance. And rats can curl their tail around like this to kind of get balance too. But these guys do have a pretty strong tail. However, it is a myth that they hang upside down and sleep upside down by the tail. It's only in the cartoons. And they really only use their tail a lot like this when they are about this size and under. The bigger that she gets, the less easy it will be for her to hold up any weight by her tail, and the less easy it will be for her to climb. Right now, she's just trying to figure out where to go. I don't have a table for her to sit on. Well, it's down below, but you won't be able to see her. So she's just going to have to hang out on my arms. But they're awfully awesome, aren't they? Awesome opossum. So the opossum kind of looks like a rodent. Like I said, they have the rodent-like tail, and they have big mousy ears. They kind of remind me of bat ears more than mice, but a lot of people think that they look like a great big rat, but they're not. Opossums actually eat rats sometimes and mice. They can eat almost anything they want, including small mammals and things like that. They're not in the rodent family at all. Like I mentioned, they're actually more closely related to kangaroos and koalas and Tasmanian devils, which are all marsupials. So marsupials carry their babies in a pouch and nurse them in a pouch, don't they? She does have a pouch. She's going to try to eat my ring. So at this age, and especially, well, her whole time that she's been with us, she is all about snacks. So they are always trying to kind of test what they can and cannot eat. She's not being mean to me at all. She's not hurting me. She was just kind of nibbling on my ring, which to her, I guess, looked like a snack. And she thought she would taste test it. but she has already been given her dinner, and she's already even had snacks inside of her travel crate. So don't worry, she has plenty of food. These guys are actually very easy to overfeed because they will oftentimes eat even if they're not that hungry, like some of you out there. Just kidding. maybe some more than others. These guys are always about their food because in the wild, they're opportunistic. That means they'll take any opportunity they can get to find food and eat food. So if they find food like an earring, don't eat my earring. Don't wear earrings around animals. That's the lesson that we get today. If they find anything that looks like food, they might taste test it and see if it's food. But that's their instinct in the wild. They're not going to get nearly as much food as they would in a zoo or in a home, I guess, if somebody has one. But that's why they're kind of not a good pet, is because they're not a domestic animal, are they? But they're kind of like some dogs too. Some dogs will actually eat until they pop, right? Some cats too. Some humans, like I said. But they're always kind of looking for snacks. That's their instinct. But they are amazing. And like I said, not a rodent. In fact, they're very beneficial. Rodents can oftentimes carry diseases and parasites that can affect humans, whereas opossums will eat a lot of those parasites like ticks, and they will eat fleas, and they will eat roaches. Roaches are not considered to be a parasite, but they're considered to be a harmful pest bug, right? Because roaches can often carry diseases or get into our food and things like that. These guys will eat all sorts of insects. They're not picky at all. As you can see, she was trying to eat inedible objects, so they're certainly not picky eaters. They can eat anything they want. And they oftentimes do eat a lot of bugs for us, but they also eat things like dead animals that have gone bad, and other animals can't really eat them anymore. Somebody's got to clean it up. If it's not going to be us, might as well be an animal that can actually eat it. And once they do eat it, it processes through their very, very strong digestive system, and then they can actually go ahead and get rid of any types of illnesses or problems that carcass would have on it. So if they eat something that's got a disease on it, like kind of like a vulture can do, they can eat like carrion and other nasty thing. And if that carrion or dead animal is like diseased, once they eat it and it goes through their body and gets digested, it comes out the other end like any animal. Yep, it comes out the other end. Right on cue, Alice. And that has actually gotten rid of any problems. So it will no longer be dirty in the environment. They have gotten rid of the diseases. They have gotten rid of the sicknesses, which is the same thing, right? But my point is that they're super helpful with that. They are very, very beneficial to us. And they don't harm us. Did you know that opossums almost never carry rabies? They can very rarely have rabies, but they only live for a couple of years, which is what I forgot to say earlier. That's my least favorite thing about opossums, is they grow very quickly and they don't live very long. So they kind of only live for about maybe 2 years in the wild at the most, usually about 1.5 years. And in the care of humans, they can make it sometimes to 4.5, maybe pushing 5. That would be super old for them. But it can happen sometimes because they can get everything they need in the care of humans, right? They don't have to worry about predators, especially. The main thing that, or the main reason that opossums actually don't live as long in the wild is because they slow down very, very quickly as they age, and they kind of continue to become very, very elderly and slow and maybe arthritic and not as fast as usual, right? So a lot of times they will be taken by predators like owls. Owls end up being their main predator out at night, just like they are. But other animals eat them all the time too. Cats, dogs, coyotes, foxes, hawks. All sorts of animals will eat an opossum in the wild. So when they live, look at this pose, look like a genie. When they live with humans in the safety of the indoors and being very spoiled, they get everything they need food-wise. They get vaccinations. They get vet care if they need anything there. They also get, of course, to live away from predators. She's awfully, you can see how used to me she is and how used to human she is. She just climbs all over me and doesn't even care about what I think at all. But these guys are definitely good to have around. If you have opossums in your own backyard, say thank you to them because they're wonderful. They're going to help you have less illnesses, less mess. The only reason that they're there is because you have a food source or some sort of safety, like a safe, what am I trying to say? Somewhere to go to be away from danger, somewhere to sleep, shelter. That's what I was trying to say. Some sort of shelter, food, water source, things like that. Look at that cute face. She in the wild would be looking for those things, right? She'd be looking for somewhere safe to go, shelter from the rain, looking for maybe somebody left their cat food out, or maybe somebody left their garbage pail with the lid off of it, and then maybe a raccoon comes along or a stray dog or cat and knocks over the trash can, and then the poor little opossum is trying to clean up that mess that the other animal left behind, and then the opossum's not as fast as those other animals like raccoons and dogs and cats, and opossums a lot of times get blamed for all of that, because they're left behind trying to clean it up. But they think, woohoo, free food. I'm ready to eat this garbage. Yum, yum. Because guess what? Opossums don't really discriminate food. They love everything to eat. For the most part. She doesn't always eat her healthy greens every day. She's a little bit picky about that. She would rather have a delicious banana or meat or other things like that before eating greens, and she'll eat the greens last. A lot of times we feed her collard greens and broccoli around here, which is very good for them. But they are opportunistic omnivores and can digest almost anything they want, which is the reason I picked the opossum and the tegu today. We're going to meet a black and white tegu here in a little bit, who also is a kind of a black and white color. I know Alice here is actually kind of gray, but if you think about it, gray is just black and white mixed together. So we are going to meet a Colombian black and white tegu here in a little bit, and it's another omnivore, another opportunistic omnivore, just like the opossum. So opossums can eat meat, plants, they can eat even carrion, which is meat that has gone bad or dead animals that have gone bad. Look at this pose. And they can also eat things like plants that are poisonous to other animals. They are immune to most snake venom, so they can eat venomous snakes and actually fend them off and eat them. They can eat rodents. They can eat fruit, vegetables, anything they want. And what are the benefits of being an omnivore? Like a human, right? We're omnivores. We're not as strong stomached. Is that a word? we're not as we're a lot more picky than the opossum these days. But opossums and humans are both omnivores. So humans can eat both meats and plants, just like the opossum, right? And that makes us have something very cool in common. Also, most primates are omnivores, aren't they? And some marsupials are omnivores. Some marsupials are actually carnivores, like the Tasmanian devil, and some marsupials, like kangaroos, are herbivores, eating mostly just grass and things like that, almost like a rabbit. But some are omnivores, and some lizards are omnivores too, opportunistic omnivores. But the opossum may be one of the most impressive omnivores in the land because they can eat almost anything they want. Let me see if you guys have any questions, and forgive me, I'm juggling the animal at the same time. She's awfully active. Next time, I think I will have to bring a table platform for her to sit on and just eat food, because this is a little bit tiring for her to crawl all over me. And she's just getting a little bit too big for that, which makes me a little bit sad because I miss her little baby days, but they do grow very quickly. Yes, they do. Ash says she got so big. Yes, she did. That is very good because that means she's nice and healthy and growing. She certainly eats like a horse, eats like an opossum. And yeah, so let me see what you guys have to say. She got so big. Thank you for saying, oh, that's so sweet. Looks like it's wearing fingerless gloves, like I said before. Yeah. They're little rocker opossums. We have a Cooper and an Alice. So Alice Cooper, right? Are they good hunters? That is a good question. They are decent hunters for very, very slow animals, like slow-moving bugs and maybe snails and things like that. But they can also sometimes catch lizards, and they can catch, don't tell Lulu, and they can actually catch rodents too. And the slower they're moving, the easier they are to catch, which actually brings up a very good conservation point that I forgot to talk about. There's so many different ways that we can help out opossums. Number one is going to be not using rat or mouse poisons. We don't want to be using rat or mouse poison, and we don't want to be using too much insecticide as well. Because remember, what do these guys eat? They eat insects. And they eat rodents. I'm going to get rid of these earrings. I'm so nervous that she's just going to eat my earrings. Maybe that'll help a little bit. I feel a little bit better now. Don't eat my earrings. Lesson learned with the opossum. I usually take them off sometimes for the birds, but I didn't think about her. So they eat animals that you might have poisoned without thinking that you're harming the next animal down the food chain. But it's really, really not great to use rat poison and insecticide, especially rat poison, because a slower moving rat that has been poisoned or a slower moving mouse that has been poisoned is a lot easier for these slow moving hunters, potential hunters, to eat. So a slower moving, sickly rodent on a normal basis that's just naturally sick is usually fine for animals like predators to eat, like owls and hawks and other predatory birds, or even like cats, or even like coyotes, foxes. These guys, skunks too. Skunks actually eat rodents too sometimes if they can catch them. And what's easier to catch, a slow or a fast rodent? A slow one, right? So when they have been poisoned, they may not die right away. And even if they do die, what else does this animal eat? Dead animals. So if you have a rodent problem in your home, please don't use rat poison. That is actually terrible for the environment and for these beautiful animals. So they could become poisoned secondhand from your poisoned rodent that you have actually tried to get rid of. And it's also not a great way to do away with any animal anyway. It's actually not fun to die from rat poison, as you might imagine. It's definitely not humane at all. So there are much better ways. If you're curious about that, let me know and I'll help you out. So as far as being good hunters, it has to be a pretty slow animal, especially the older that these guys get, the slower they move, and the harder it is for them to actually hunt. But they can hunt a little bit, to answer your question. That was kind of a longer answer than you probably expected. These guys also, one thing we can help out with them is going to be watching out in the road. Since they are very, very slow for the most part, they're not the fastest animal ever. They're not a cheetah, right? And they're not, especially as they get older. So the younger they are, the faster they can kind of skitter across the road and skitter up a tree and climb and run a little bit. In fact, she was pretty quick when she was really tiny. But the bigger they get, the slower they are. And of course, they're not faster than cars. So we can watch out for them in the night, and also watch out for skunks, and watch out for deer, and watch out for all sorts of wildlife crossing the road, turtles, tortoises, things like that. That's one thing we can do. We can keep a nice tight lid on our trash cans, because not everything in the trash is going to be 100% edible, even to an opossum. So sometimes we'd have toxic things in our trash. For the most part, they can eat things, but they don't eat plastic very well, do they? They might try it, but they may not be able to properly pass plastic. And they might get stuck in plastic and things like that. And they might accidentally eat like bleach and things like that. And that's not good for them, even to be in contact with. So we can also keep a nice tight lid on our trash cans. And that will help animals all over the place. Well, animals in your backyard anyway. All sorts of animals is what I meant to say. And what else can we do for them? We cannot harm them because they're actually very beneficial. We can just leave them alone, and they'll leave you alone. Don't pick them up. They're not going to be happy about that. The only reason you would get bit by an opossum is by picking them up, because they could bite. They typically don't bite and never go after people unless they really need to. So if you're like actually holding or restraining them, then that would be a good reason for them to bite you. Otherwise, they're not going to attack you or your animals unless you have pet rats and mice, I guess, that live outside. That would be strange. Or rabbits, I guess. But a rabbit would be awfully large for an opossum to hunt. But they are far more vulnerable to being preyed upon by your pets than they are a harmful animal to, to them. So that's not going to be really a problem with opossums. Opossums would rather eat dead stuff that doesn't move very fast. So they're really beneficial. Bugs, dead animals, things like that, snails. That's what they like to eat. So we cannot harm them. We can make sure our pets don't harm them. Keep them away from opossums. If you see an opossum and they see you, they're probably going to leave in a little bit. But if they do see you at first, they might open their mouth, show their teeth. They actually have more teeth than any other land mammal in the United States, which is going to be 50 teeth. And is 50 teeth. Are you going to eat my hair? You're going to hang it on my shoulder for a little bit. That is so cute. We love you. You're going to look back into nothing. She's like, what's over here? I'm going to follow my nose. Just don't eat my ears or my hair. Look at that. They're very curious. They have a very good sense of smell. And right now she's smelling my hair. I hope it smells good. I hope it doesn't smell like snacks. We can only hope. Oh my goodness, you guys. Get out of my hair. You're going to get tangled in there. So silly. But these guys, like I said, what was I saying? I forgot what I was saying. But these guys are very beneficial to us. Oh, if they see you, that's what I was saying. If they see you, they might show their teeth. Their teeth look really intimidating, but it's really just for show. They do have 50 teeth in their mouth, which is more than any other land mammal in the U.S. and in North America. And they're just trying to look really scary. They might drool and hiss at you too and look really scary. But they're not going to jump after you or run after you and attack you. That's just not going to happen. And the next thing they usually do if you keep bothering them is going to be playing dead. They're very, very famous Hi. They're very famous for actually playing dead. But did you know it's not on purpose? So when an opossum actually plays dead, they're not actually thinking about that and thinking, I'm going to play dead and go. That's not how it is. They're actually so overwhelmed with stress and fear that they faint. And that's going to be a defense mechanism that has worked for a long time in this species. And it's going to be very convincing because it looks like they are dead. Their body will literally go stiff. Their mouth stays open. You've probably seen an opossum do that. Their eyes roll back in the back of their head. Very dramatic. They definitely drool. And they sometimes go to the bathroom on themselves, which is super yummy. And they even have what's called anal glands, which is the same thing that your dogs and cats have. If you've ever had a dog with anal gland problems, I'm not trying to be crude. That's actually a thing. Hello. She's going to check me out and mark me, I guess. Aw. Right now, she's just smelling me. When she was a baby, she used to crawl all over my head and kind of check out my hair and snuggle up underneath my hair. It was super cute. Now you're too big for that, okay? You're too big. You're a big girl now. You want to be the baby forever? I understand. I want you to be the baby forever, too. They're very scent-oriented. Anyway, and then they will smell really bad. They will be stiff. They look like a dead carcass. Their eyes are rolling back. They really don't respond to touch. But they are not dead. They're just fainted. And it's like a coma-like state. And they can stay that way for up to 4 hours. So very convincing. And you might think it's counterintuitive to just pass out and lay still in front of your enemies or your predators. But it is not. It's actually very effective because of the smell and the whole act. Those animals will see that whole process actually happen. And they think that animal has died of some terrible disease. And they certainly do not want to touch it or eat it. So it works very, very well in their favor, actually. And it's very convincing. If you ever find a dead opossum, please don't throw it away until you are 100% sure that they are dead. It happens to the best of us. I've seen an opossum actually in that state where they're playing dead, right? They're fainted and everything. And it really does look like they're dead. And I really thought that they were dead. And lo and behold, they woke back up again in about an hour. So that was pretty cool. But it can last up to 4 hours. So we definitely don't want to put them through all of that if we can help it. So the best thing to do if you see one in your backyard is to just leave them alone, back away, admire from a distance, say thank you very much, Mr. or Miss Opossum. And unless it is injured or really needing help in some way like that where it's an emergency, you can just leave them alone. And they'll leave you alone and even help you out by eating lots of roaches, lots of ticks, and even lots of dirty things that other animals leave behind, like dead carcasses. Let's see what you guys have to say. They are so neat, you guys. When I see an opossum, I get very excited when I see them in the wild. Always watch out on the road when they're crossing the road. Well, that was Alice. I think I'm going to go ahead and give her a break and let her crawl back down and hang out down below, but I will work on answering your questions that you guys are asking. And next time we see her, she's going to be just too big to hold for this long, I think. She's just growing all the time. We're going to let her rest, you guys. Come on down. And next time we'll bring like a little platform and you guys can see her eat like last time. That was pretty cute, I think. If you hear a squeaking noise, it's just the door, not her, of the crate down below. Let me see. Okay, now it's going to be a little bit easier to get to your questions. And thank you for being here, you guys. If you are just joining us, we just met Alice, our opossum. She's one of 2 opossums that we have here at Once in a Wild. We have Cooper and Alice. Cooper is even larger than her. He's about twice her size. So maybe I'll bring him next time we have opossums on the show and you guys can see how big he is. He definitely is a lot more comfortable not being held and being like on a flat platform just getting snacks. And that is perfectly okay. Every opossum that I have worked with has their own personality, just like any animal, like a cat or a dog or anything. And anything really, even snakes have their own personality too. And each one of them is a little different. Alice is probably the most bold and active opossum I've ever worked with before. She's always wanting to kind of crawl around and very interested in everything. As you saw, she really wanted to like see into my hair and my earrings. And she's not shy at all, but she's a little bit less mellow than some of the other opossums that I worked with before. Most opossums, they want to be held and just getting snacks, like their favorite fruits and things like that while they're working. This little girl loves food, but she also doesn't mind being held without food too, which makes it a little bit easier on me, but she's just getting a little bit too big. Let me see. I hope you enjoyed seeing her. Ooh, Ricky is letting you guys know something. Ricardo says new animals to come. Yeah, maybe. Stay tuned. Alejandro, hello. Nice to see you. So nice to see you again. Some of you guys I haven't seen in a while, and I'm so glad you're here today. Hello there. So cute. Thank you for saying that. Fingerless gloves. Yep. I think I addressed this already. Are they good hunters? Remember, opossums aren't the best hunters and aren't the fastest. That's why a lot of times they end up getting hit by cars, unfortunately, and why they end up being susceptible to rodent poison, because the rodent becomes poison, or the opossum might eat the rodent poison on its own too, because the poison is actually designed to entice animals to eat it because it tastes good. And then, but anyway, even if it's secondhand, that rodent may be slower, and the opossum, being kind of a slow lumbering animal, they might catch that slower moving mouse, right? For example. A lot of animals can be affected by poisons, which is very sad. So please don't use poisons to the best of your ability. There's other ways to actually prevent pests. The best way and most green and environmentally friendly way to prevent pests is going to be with other animals that naturally eat the pest. So if you have a lot of mosquitoes, you might want to put up a bat box in a tree or up against the side of your house or building, and it encourages bats to come and live in your area. You might be thinking, bats, I'm going to get rabies. You're going to be fine. Bats don't attack people for no reason. They're only going to come out at night anyway, and you definitely want bats around. Even if you just have bats around already, you're probably not even going to notice they're there, but they eat a lot of mosquitoes at night. Also, having toads and frogs in your backyard is a great way to prevent mosquitoes too, and lizards like geckos. So you want to encourage habitats that are animal friendly to be able to have those predatory animals to eat those prey animals that you want to get rid of. And also animals like roaches are prey for a lot of animals, but did you know that screech owls, which are owls that are about this high, they eat cockroaches, which is why I love them so much, because I'm not a big fan of flying cockroaches. I don't know anybody that is. The one animal that I'm terrified of is flying cockroaches. You can ask Ricky any day. I don't like them. Every other animal I'm fine with. But the screech owls, if you build a small owl box, small enough for screech owls, of course. And there's different bat boxes. Like I said, so many different animal habitats that you can actually put out in your own backyard for pest control. So those screech owls will eat cockroaches, and a lot of other animals eat roaches too, right? Including opossums. Opossums are great to have around too for that too. And what else? So you can have a larger owl box to prevent rats and mice. So that's actually a great way to help out with that too. So actually, by not using rat poison, you can encourage other animals like opossums and even owls, like I said, to actually naturally kind of circle through your area and eat those rodents. Even snakes too. A lot of people don't like snakes. We love snakes here at Once in a While. Snakes are my favorite animals, and I always talk about them and how awesome they are. But a lot of people are afraid of snakes, but snakes are far better than having a rodent problem. Snakes actually are great rodent control too. So the best way is to actually encourage wildlife to be around you. And we want to make sure our dogs and cats stay away from those animals to the best of our ability. So I understand, and our kiddos too. But that is actually the best way to do that. Other ways and methods are to, of course, call a professional that maybe handles pest control in a more environmentally friendly way, and you can ask an expert on that. I of course, am not a pest control expert, but I know there are experts out there that can certainly help you. But I do know about wildlife and how naturally that can kind of take care of itself. And also there are other methods like those bug machines that suck up the bugs instead of putting poison out in your yard, and that will attract the bugs with like a little light. We have several of those right now because we have a lot of mosquitoes right now and flies. And it's just the way it is this time of year. It's been nice and rainy and nice and hot. So the mosquitoes are just like, yes, this is my favorite. So they come and join us. So we unfortunately don't have a whole lot of space for like natural frogs and things to live in our backyard. So our front yard has a lot of natural shrubberies and things where lizards can live, and they oftentimes will eat the bugs for us. But in the backyard's a little bit harder. So we have those bug suckers. It's like a little lantern that you hang, and it lights up and it encourages the mosquitoes to come close, and it will suck them in, and then you can just empty them out later. So that's another a little bit better way to get rid of some mosquitoes than spraying poison all over the place. And I will admit that that's what I used to do in the old days before I knew any better. So that's why we're here, is to teach you guys how to make a better environment in your backyard for animals, right? So that's really the best way, is to provide safe areas for wildlife that comes and eats your pest animals for you. That's the best way. All right, enough of that. I hope you guys learned something today. Oh, Kelly's just giving us some hearts. That's so nice. Thank you so much for joining us. This is if you're just joining us, we have just met Alice, our opossum. Like I said, we're about to meet a lizard friend and talk about what makes them kind of similar. But before I do that, I just want to make sure and address all of your comments and questions. And if you have never seen me before, my name is Amanda, and our company is Once in a Wild, and our website is right down here, onceinawild.com. You can find more information on our website. But we are actually a animal outreach company, mobile zoo. We bring animals to events, classrooms, parties, animal therapy sessions, photo opportunities, and virtual presentations. Whatever you need, just give me a call, and we'd be very, very happy to get you scheduled. If you do have a certain day that you are dead set on that you want us to come for your birthday party or do a virtual presentation for your birthday party, please let me know as soon as you can, because we are booking up weekends like crazy, which I'm very, very thankful for. And we are in person again, as well as virtual as always. So I just want to let you guys know to book your encounters ahead of time before we get bookings for the weekend that you want. That's my advice. Okay. So cute, thank you. Her tail is so strong. She is a pretty strong opossum. You couldn't probably see, and I guess I'm just really tough, but her nails are actually pretty good at gripping my skin too. So she's a very capable girl, but her tail is pretty strong. The bigger they get, the thicker and stronger their tail actually gets, so they can still use it for like balance and kind of stabilizing their bodies if they're hanging onto a big tree branch or something like that. But the bigger and heavier they get, the less they can actually climb very easily, just because they're heavier. It's harder to climb the heavier you are, right? Am I right? So if I had a prehensile tail, you know, the heavier I am, the harder it would be for me to hold up myself with my arm or my tail. But yeah, her tail is very strong and she's getting huge. Like I said, check out the last time we had the opossums on and the time before that, when she was like literally like the size of the palm of my hand and finger. She was like super tiny and adorable. She's still adorable and beautiful. You love the toes. Yes, me too. How well do they hear? That's a great question. They hear very well. They're very sensitive to noises. They have big bat-like and rodent-like ears. Their ears are actually very thin. And when they go to sleep, their ears kind of droop down and kind of like look like puppy dog ears. They're super cute. And as soon as they wake up, their ears kind of expand and can definitely hear like little satellite dishes. I don't know how far away they can hear. Maybe somebody out there knows how far they can hear. We can look it up together. But I do know they hear very well. They have the best sense they have is their sense of smell. If you look at a mammal's face, like an opossum or a rodent or a rabbit or a dog, a cat, any mammal that you can think of, usually the biggest feature on their face is what they're best at. So for example, a rabbit has giant ears, right? So they are best at hearing, but rabbits also see and smell very well too. That helps them to look out, smell out, and listen out for predators. So same thing with the opossum. Opossums have a great big long nose, so they smell really, really well. They have a super sense of smell, and they can definitely distinguish smells very, very well with that sense. And they can figure out what's food and what's not, right? Like we saw earlier with Alice trying to eat all the things. But hearing would be their next best sense. And then seeing and touch, I guess, simultaneously is probably a good one, and taste as well. But seeing is not their strongest, but they do see. They certainly can see, but it's kind of blurry and a little bit limited, but they function mostly on smell and hearing. To answer your question, I hope that does. Do they make any noises? So opossums sometimes make little noises. Sometimes it's going to be like little grunts. They can also make little chirps and little kind of smacking noises too. But overall, they're really not a very loud animal at all. They're very quiet, which is super nice to take care of them without them making a lot of noises like birds do and things, right? But they will, like I said, grunt. They will kind of make like a almost like a little pig. It's super interesting. It's something that I never really noticed before because I never raised any so young, but they do like little chirps, grunts, certainly smacks like that. And they will make like little popping noises, but it's typically going to be either for courtship purposes, so attracting mates, communication between opossums, or for communication between mother and babies. Mother and babies will talk to each other to find each other, or for mom to just tell her babies that everything's okay. But they're not super duper talkative as an animal goes, but they do make some noises. She's smelling lizards, maybe. She's trying to smell all over me. So she has never like really bitten me or anything like that, which is really fascinating because I'm sure I smell like all sorts of different things no matter how much I wash up, right? I have all sorts of animal smells, and how good their smell is, I'm sure they pick up a lot of things that I can't pick up. But for all of that, they do know better than to bite me for no reason. They're super duper gentle, which I find fascinating. The nails are sharp sometimes, so we trim those. But that's not her being aggressive, right? She's just hanging on. But they're actually very gentle animals in general. They don't really want to bite you or anything like that, which is interesting because they do have a great big giant mouth that opens up like that. And they do have 50 teeth with big fangs. So, you know, it's very interesting, but they do eat with their teeth, I guess. Here's a good question. Should we feed them in the wild? Can we leave food out for them? I wouldn't recommend doing that because you're probably going to attract all sorts of different animals, not just opossum. Opossums are okay to have in your backyard and things like that, and they're not harmful, but you might be attracting animals like raccoons or feral cats, which can actually come into your backyard and actually carry rabies and other diseases that give to your animals at home and to give to you. If you ever find a cat that you're not familiar with in the backyard or whatever situation, maybe it's out in a field, don't pick it up. We don't recommend doing that because cats can carry rabies. And animals like skunks, raccoons, etc. can actually come up and eat the cat food too, and you might end up getting scratched or bitten on accident, and you can actually get diseases like rabies that way too. So we don't recommend that. We recommend keeping your cats inside and keeping your dogs fed inside. I know dogs have to go to the restroom outside, and sometimes cats can be let outside supervised, maybe on a harness or in a catio, or maybe just supervised in your backyard, things like that. We always recommend keeping cats inside whenever you can, but for dogs, even if they're kept outside sometimes, or maybe they're outdoor type dogs, we recommend feeding indoors. So that's just going to attract all sorts of wildlife. And it also makes wildlife less afraid of people, which is not good. So wildlife that comes up and expects food from people, and then when people don't give them food, sometimes they can become aggressive. Raccoons are like that. Bears can be like that too, and all sorts of animals that I'm sure I'm forgetting. Even some birds and things like that. We don't really want to be feeding wildlife for the most part. Now, some wildlife is perfectly fine to feed. For example, hummingbirds. You can feed hummingbirds. You can feed wild songbirds and things like that. Do your research, of course, on what to feed and what's proper to feed. For example, for hummingbirds, you don't want to feed every commercial type hummingbird feed, and you want to actually replace your hummingbird feeder nectar often so it doesn't go bad. So there's a lot of research to do about feeding hummingbirds, believe it or not. I know it's very common for you guys to feed hummingbirds and songbirds, but it's always important to do your research, and if you ever need advice, just let me know. But those are perfectly fine to feed because they do need a lot of help when migrating through. A lot of songbirds and hummingbirds and things like that, they do migrate, and they actually would not make it without a little bit of help from us humans nowadays because we have destroyed their environment. So they need actually more food sources along the way than they used to, right? They used to be able to find it anywhere, but now they don't have as many natural food sources. So that's a different story. But as far as leaving out cat food, dog food, that usually attracts the wrong type of animals. And I know you guys are just trying to be nice, but it can actually make the situation a little bit worse for the animal. And a big reason is, of course, rabies vectors. So you can become infected with rabies. Your pets can become infected with rabies, unfortunately. And also it's going to lessen their fear of humans. So they're expecting food. Maybe the next person down the street doesn't have food, and they come up to that person and they're like, hey, where's my food? I'm a raccoon. Give me my food. And if they don't give them food, maybe they'll, bite them or something like that. And that is not good. Animals do need a healthy respect and fear of humans because we shouldn't be, necessarily something they should come up to, and then somebody's just going to get hurt in the process. They also might come to cars and houses where people don't really like animals, and maybe that human will harm the animal or the car will accidentally harm the animal. It's a long story, but we don't recommend that. That is a great question, Ricardo. Thank you for asking that. Do I brush her hair? That's a great question. No, I don't really have to brush her hair. The older she gets, we may have to make sure she's a little bit cleaner. But opossums are actually pretty good at grooming themselves, especially at this age when they can kind of be more flexible and things like that. And they groom themselves with their mouth, right? Just like a cat or a dog would do. And they can reach all those spots very easily at this age. But as they get older, they might be a little bit more arthritic and things. So we'll help her out if it comes to it. I've definitely taken care of some other opossums that were a little bit elderly, and we had to make sure that they were nice and clean. So we'll see as it comes to it if we have to brush her or give her a bath or anything like that. But at this age, and typically in general, opossums are pretty clean animals, and they like to keep themselves clean, especially if they live indoors, right? They're going to be pretty clean animals. Outside in nature, they may not be as clean. So they might be a lot more dirty, but it just depends. But no, I don't really have to brush her hair. It just kind of stays that way. And I'm sure she takes care of it herself. They have a cool tail. Thank you. Yes, I love their tail. A lot of people don't like the hairless tail, but I actually really like it. It's really soft and white and beautiful. As long as it's not dirty, it's really nice looking. One of those light things. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, for the bugs. Yes, excellent, Lamar. So those are really, really helpful. This season has been very buggy, and so we've had to get 3 of those bug-sucking lanterns. Yeah, they're great. Sorry, I didn't know what I was talking about for a minute. Yeah, those are very effective overall at getting rid of mosquitoes. Maybe a bigger one, the better they are. We have 3 small ones. She was very quiet. Yes, she was. You are right. Wow. Your cat stay inside. Very good. It's also better for your cat. So did you know that keeping cats inside will actually double their life expectancy, or even more than double their life expectancy? Cats that live outside have an average life expectancy of 2 to 5 maximum. And cats that live indoors, genetics depending and health depending and whatever you're feeding them dependent as well, and how good you're taking care of them. But overall, cats that live indoors have an average lifespan of anywhere from around 12 to up to 18, sometimes 20 plus. Did you know that? So they have a much better life. They don't have to worry about getting hit by cars, being poisoned by rat poison, remember, or being hurt by people that don't like cats. They don't have to worry about getting in fights with other cats. They don't have to worry about getting lost or eating things they shouldn't be eating. And it's also better for the environment to keep your cats indoors too, but especially it's better for them and better for you. You don't have to worry about where your cat's been all day or all night. And it's very healthy for them. So very, very good. I'm very proud of you guys for keeping your cats inside. I had a dearly beloved cat named Elliot who passed away a couple of years ago. He was around 19 years old when he passed away. Very old. And he was strictly indoors as well. Oh, that's wonderful. Ash says our great grandma is watching from New Orleans and she likes to feed the hummingbirds. Yes, that is wonderful. I'm sure she does a good job doing that. Hummingbirds are one of my favorite animals. They're beautiful. Okay, I just want to make sure and address all your wonderful comments and questions. I'm so happy that we have so many comments and questions this week. Last week was a little slow, but I understand. You guys have a life outside of once in a while, don't you? You can always watch that back later. One of your cats lived to be 21. That's amazing. I love cats. And you as well. Wow, 21-year-old twins. Cat twins. That is super cool. I'm so proud of you guys. All right. So now we are going to talk about omnivores, right? If you haven't seen the title of this video yet, it is, of course, just our weekly live stream. We like to bring you a good example of an animal encounter each and every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Central. I'm so glad you love us. We love you too. And I wanted to kind of tie in a couple of very different animals that also have a lot in common. So we just, of course, met a very, very opportunistic omnivore. So what does that mean? Opportunistic means they're going to take any opportunity they get to find food, and whatever they come across that looks like food, they're going to try it. And they probably are going to be able to eat it because opossums have super stomachs full of very strong stomach acid and digestion that can take care of a lot of those items like poisonous plants, venomous snakes, rotten meat, and rotten fruit, etc. All sorts of things that most animals cannot even touch or eat or don't want to. They can eat all that, pass it through their system, it gets digested with very strong stomach acid and all of that, and it comes out the other end nice and clean for the environment. It may not look clean, but it's not going to be diseased anymore and harmful to the rest of us, right? Sorry, I had to take a drink for a minute. I'm getting so emotional about opossums. Just kidding. I'm just got a dry throat. Pardon me. So that is a very extreme example and very impressive example of an opportunistic omnivore. But we're about to meet another opportunistic omnivore who's down below, and her name is Lulu the Tegu. So she's a type of lizard. This is a species not from the United States, although some tegus live in the United States nowadays, down in Florida. I think that's the only state that they're actually invasive. But tegus come from Central and South America, and Argentine black and white tegus, or Argentine black and white tegus, however you want to say that, is fine with me. And those guys have become invasive in Florida, which is very unfortunate for the environment. And it's not the tegu's fault. Tegus are wonderful. For whatever reason, they become wild down there. And the problem with that, with being a wild animal where you don't belong, is they're omnivores. So a lot of times they'll run around eating bird eggs. They'll eat baby animals. They'll eat all sorts of things they shouldn't be eating. They'll eat snakes. They'll eat rodents. And all those animals usually belong there, and they're eating them. So that is not good for the environment. That's what we call an invasive species. Did you know that domestic cats are an invasive species right here in the United States and all over the place? That's why I like to talk about the cats so much. So not good. That's another reason we should keep our cats indoors. But this is a native species to Colombia. Let's meet her. Come on, Lulu. And this is another opportunistic omnivore. Not as much of a super stomach as an opossum, but they do have a lot in common. So these guys, they eat eggs. They eat rodents. They can eat other lizards sometimes. They can eat birds. They can eat fruit and vegetation too. They can eat almost anything they want, right? Just like the opossum. They don't eat nearly as many options as the opossum can, and most animals cannot eat as many options, is what I'm trying to say, as the opossum. But still an impressive animal nonetheless, and a pretty neat lizard. Like I said, these guys are from Colombia, and there's other types of tegus called the Argentine, so they're from Argentina, right? So there are a couple of different main types of tegus, and there are other species of tegus throughout Central and South America. So they are down in the tropics for the most part. They're a tropical species, which is why they do so well in Florida when they become feral or loose down there. They can maintain everything they need and survive down in Florida as long as it's nice and warm for them, because they love the tropics. Kind of like green iguanas are invasive down there too. Green iguanas are a lot less of a problem in Florida though, because they only eat vegetables, whereas these guys can eat anything. So they're eating native species to Florida and things like that, which is not good. Those species that live down there are not adapted to fending off this beautiful lizard. So Lulu is a very wiggly girl, just like our opossum. That's another thing they share in common. But she is also very smart. So I am going to show her that she's not going to be able to get down by wiggling. So eventually, she typically settles down. This happens almost every single time. You're okay. You lost your balance there. Or tail slapped up against the table there. So tegus are one of the smartest of all the reptiles in nature. They're known to be extremely smart. They're almost dog-like. They figure out problems, problem solve, and they figure out situations very quickly. We're just going to let her do her little tantrum, which is just her trying to get down. Not that bad. But, and then she'll settle down. She always does. And then we'll talk about her. How about that? Another thing that she has in common with the specific opossum that we just met. This specific lizard, Lulu, and the specific opossum, Alice. They're both girls, by the way. They're both super wiggly. Settle down, you crazy girl. So there she goes. Another thing they have in common as an individual is they're both rescue animals. I mentioned that Alice came from somebody's backyard when she was way too young to be on her own yet, from her mom. And so she was brought in to be rehabilitated and then offered up to us. This one is a similar story. She wasn't so young to be on her own. She was younger, obviously. It's about 4 or 5 years ago from now, 4 years ago. She was actually running loose in Dallas, Texas. So she was found by animal control, I believe. I'm not sure who found her in the first place, but animal control was able to catch her up in a Dallas neighborhood running amok, where she shouldn't be, right? They're not from Dallas or Florida. They're from Colombia. So this, I'm sure, was somebody's pet at some point and either escaped or was set free, which is very, very irresponsible of that owner if that's the case. But I'd like to think that hopefully she just escaped and it was an honest mistake. And she was running amok around a neighborhood, wild as can be. I'm sure she was very hard to catch. I wasn't there. But she did actually lose her tail in the process. You can see where the tail kind of changes color there. It's much whiter and lighter. from that little ring down, that is where the tail actually came off. Their tail is designed like that. It's called tail autonomy, where the animal can actually release their tail at certain segments, and that helps to save their life sometimes, because if a predator grabs them by the tail, they can actually pop the tail right off and get away and then grow another tail back later on. It takes months and months to do that in this species, but it is still very neat. And now she kind of looks like an opossum because she has a two-tone tail, kind of like the gray coloration of the opossum's body and the white tail. So she kind of looks like that too. I find that so interesting. And she's black and white, similar to the opossum's gray and white coloration, and black too. So they're both a rescue situation. A lot of our animals here once in a while come to us as a secondhand animal or a rescue situation where they absolutely need a home and somewhere to go. So we're happy to provide that to them. I would dare to say at least half, if not most of our animals now are rescues, which is very, very neat and something to be proud of. I am very proud of that. But anyway, these guys are a really neat species. Like I said, they can eat almost anything they want, can't they? Eggs are her favorite food, but she also eats bananas. She eats canned dog food, canned cat food. She eats, what else? Bugs. Sometimes we give her rodents. Sometimes we give her fish, all sorts of things, and she's happy to eat them. But her favorite is eggs. So if I need her to eat something a little healthier that day, all I have to do is crack open a raw egg and drizzle it over whatever I need her to eat, and she'll slurp it right up and eat it up. But they love, love, love their eggs. Don't you, Lulu? She's like, yes, I do. I love eggs. And these guys are very smart. Like I said before, she learned very quickly that I was not going to harm her. When we first got her, she was quite wild. She didn't bite me or anything like that, but she definitely wasn't happy to be held. And as you can see, she still struggles with some of that, but what you just saw just now was nothing compared to how she used to behave. She used to kind of like barrel roll and what we call a death roll, like in a crocodile. She used to open her mouth and gape her teeth at me, and they don't really make noise, but they hiss a little bit. And she clearly was not happy about being held. Colombian Tegus are also kind of known for being sassy. But through a lot of patience and just training with her, we've had taught her that she is perfectly fine being being held by hand, and that nothing's going to happen to her. We're not going to hurt her. We're not going to restrain her tightly, nothing like that. We are friends. As you can see, she's just resting on top of my hands, and I'm just kind of stabilizing her tail with my arm there. So it's actually quite comfortable for her, but she just wanted down for a little bit. So I took her out of her travel enclosure, and she's like, I'm ready to go run around the room, which is not good. I don't want her running around the studio. So I just waited for her to settle down, and now she's settled down. She's beautiful, isn't she? These guys are very smart. They learn very quickly. They are good problem solvers, and that helps them to survive in the wild, right? But they are an opportunistic omnivore. They're not the best hunters. That's what makes them a little bit different than, say, like a monitor lizard. Monitor lizards are carnivores. These guys are omnivores, which means they eat a little bit of everything, right? That's a big difference between them. Tegus are also New World, and monitor lizards are Old World. Maybe we'll do a compare and contrast with Dino the monitor and Lulu the Tegu in one of our videos in the future. Would you guys like to learn about that? We had Dino the monitor lizard on one of the videos not too long ago about how monitor lizards are not the best pets for most people. In fact, I never recommend monitors for really anybody as a pet. There are far better animal choices to adopt, like bearded dragons, leopard geckos, and blue-tongued skinks, to name a few. I would say tegus are still bad pets for most people, to be very honest with you, but they are better selections for animal companions than a monitor lizard. Most monitor lizards do not really adapt very well to handling as much as a tegu does. As you can see, well, on my side, she's closing her eyes like she wants to go to sleep. She's still awake on your side, I guess. She got one eye shut and one eye open. They are far less aggressive than monitors, but can still bite. And they still need a lot of care, room, enrichment, attention, training. So they're definitely not a beginner type lizard at all if you don't know what you're doing. So I still don't recommend them for most people. And she's, of course, a rescue. So we weren't even really looking for a tegu or a monitor. They just kind of happened to us, which happens sometimes. But we're proud of that, and we're proud to be able to offer them a good home. And they're also serving as an ambassador for their species to teach all of you guys, right? So it's a pretty neat situation all around. Look at her beautiful spots and smooth skin. This is one of the few type of lizards that does not change color in any way, shape, or form. Most lizard species, now that I think about it, can actually change color in some capacities. Bearded dragons, iguanas, geckos, of course chameleons, they can all change color. with their or on their skin with the help of their chromatophores and iridophores. These guys really don't change color. They do change as they grow and shed their skin, kind of like a snake does. They have very snake-like skin, now that I think about it. And as they grow up, their markings and coloration might change slightly, but overall they kind of do look the same. Let me see if you guys are asking any questions that I can actually access right now. Let's see. She's very wiggly. Yes, you got to see how fast they can be. They can actually crawl pretty quickly. And a lot of people, if you don't know how to train them, that never goes away. She does that sometimes, and it's usually just on programs. If I'm just holding her around here without anybody watching, she's usually much better behaved for whatever reason. Maybe she knows that she can get away with more if people are watching. I don't know. They're pretty smart. But they can, be a little bit of a challenge if you don't know what you're doing and how to train them. You can never grab and restrain them tightly. They don't like that, and they won't forgive you, and they become very afraid of you. And so you kind of have to just let them walk over your hands like a little treadmill and just kind of keep working through that, as opposed to grabbing them and forcing them to do what you want them to do. That really doesn't work with these guys. So it's a little bit of a finesse, and I've been working with these guys for a long time. Let me see. Would Alice and Lulu fight? We're definitely not going to let them hang out. I bet that they would. So these guys are very solitary animals. Opossums are actually primarily solitary too, but they can get along pretty well with each other in the care of humans. And of course, they get along with their babies and things in the wild. We actually still have Cooper and Alice together in the same enclosure, and they still really get along very well. Cooper is actually already neutered. Oh my goodness, which is better for him and everything like that. And so we don't get any baby opossums, right? Yikes. There's enough opossums out there. We don't need to be breeding them. And also, Alice will be getting spayed very soon. And that hopefully will maintain their nice, even temperament with each other. And they'll just continue to get along. If something happens and they're not getting along anymore, then we will obviously provide them with separate housing. And they will be just fine like that too. But so far, so good. Lulu's species doesn't really appreciate being with any other animals, including each other. They are solitary and certainly eat other mammals and things like that. And of course, the opossum is known to eat small lizards. So I really don't think that would be a good situation. Now, this type of lizard is far too large for an opossum to eat, I think, unless it was passed away, because opossums do eat carrion. But you're not passed away, are you? You're still kicking and still with us. And this lizard is not big enough to eat an opossum, easily anyway, unless they were passed away. This is kind of a morbid conversation. But to be very honest with you, I would never want to put them together. Number one, they don't really ever meet in the wild. They're from totally different countries and everything like that. There are opossums that live down in South America, though. They're very different species. Multiple species. Then the Virginia opossum, which is what Alice is. It's the United States and North American version. And now she's going to be doing her thing again. See how they do? Maybe we can teach you how I train her. So as you can see, I'm not restraining her per se. I'm just making sure not to let her go either. So I'm not like holding her still and grabbing her like that. She's kind of walking over my hands like a treadmill. It's kind of a messy process, but it does work. And eventually she'll just give up. Yeah. She's like, I know I can get down one of these days. And she's definitely going to try it. You're all right. It's the same thing with monitor lizards too. Monitors are a little bit more stubborn about this usually. But Lulu can be stubborn too. As you can see, she is an animal that makes up her own mind. We definitely don't force her to do anything, but at the same time, we need her to learn that this is not acceptable to do. She's not going to get away with what she wants, which is basically just to be put down if I set her down right now, or if she's wiggling. So I'll set her down when she's nice and calm and when I'm good and ready. Otherwise, she will do this every time and learn that she can just get away with it. Look at that beautiful belly. But I'm not hurting her in any way. I hope you guys know that. I'm not forcing her, hurting her in any way. This is best for her. It's better for her to be able to be handled so we can take her out more often, so we can let her experience more things in life. And so she doesn't just have to sit in a habitat. A lot of people get these kinds of lizards, and maybe this is what happened to her. I can speculate and guess. Maybe somebody got a Tegu like this and got her and realized they were just too much. And she was quite wild back then. So maybe they were afraid of her and just let her go and didn't want to keep her in a cage forever, but decided they were just going to set her free. But I like to think again that hopefully it was an escape situation. and not necessarily like an on purpose type situation, because that would be very irresponsible. If you guys ever have a exotic or domestic species that you can no longer care for, please do not just abandon them or release them into the wild. That is completely illegal. Even if it is a wild type animal and is now acclimated to life with you, it may not know how to survive anymore because it's been cared for by humans, and acclimated and used to people and come up to people and know that they're friendly and people feed them. So it's actually illegal to re-release them unless you are a licensed like rehabber or somebody that knows what they're doing with all of that stuff. So please don't release your pets, especially if they are an exotic species that does not natively live where you live. That is 100% illegal. And if you have a cat or a dog, please don't abandon them either. The best thing to do if you have an animal that you can no longer care for is to find them a new responsible home, which happens to us a lot. We get called all the time, you know, for to see if we can take in animals. Sometimes we have to say no, but we will always help you or the person calling to try to find them a home through other places. So we have a lot of connections, things like that. So if anybody ever has an animal they need placing, please feel free to call us. We are more than happy to get you hooked up with the right person for that animal. For example, many years ago, I want to say about 5 years ago, I got a call about a monkey. I 100% do not want to take a monkey. I'm not a fan of keeping monkeys for outreach or anything like that, but I do have connections to be able to find the monkey a good home. So that monkey in particular was actually a green monkey, which is a species of monkey. And that one was being kept in an apartment illegally and was seized by, I believe, animal control. And somebody down the grapevine actually contacted me and asked if I would be interested in a tame green monkey. I said, absolutely not, but I can ask around and see if we can find that monkey a home. And we found it a home within a few days. So I'm more than happy to help you out. But the point being is we do not release our animals if we can no longer take care of them. That is very irresponsible, and that is almost always a death sentence for these animals. You might be thinking you're doing them a favor. I've seen videos of people buying birds from pet stores and then setting them free. That is going to be a death sentence for that bird. It's usually a parrot, parakeet, something like that. Do not do that. They will get eaten by predators, and as soon as the cold weather comes around, they're probably not adapted to surviving through the winter. This animal certainly would not have survived in the winter of Texas, and we have many, many stories like that, where we have animal rescues and animals that are secondhand animals, if you will. Settle down. You're being awful today, but we love you anyway. And as you can see, they're quite a challenge sometimes. This is why a lot of average people should not own exotic animals, because they may not know exactly how to handle them and work through these challenging situations. So, but the animals keep us on our toes, and that's part of why we love the job, because our job is not boring, is it, Lulu? So Lulu the Tegu keeps me on my toes all the time, and I love it. And she's not being aggressive, she's just being a lizard. That's just how they are sometimes. All right. Yes, the tail grew back. It took a few months to grow back. A lot of people don't know that. They think they can just easily pop that tail right back and grow it. And it was no big deal, but it does take them a lot of time to grow the tail back. It's not like an axolotl. Axolotls can actually regrow their limbs and body parts very quickly in a matter of weeks. This lizard, I mean, it took her months and months to grow back. I was very impatient about that. I wanted her to have a tail because it was a stub for a while. You don't think she is giving up? No, I don't think she will ever give up. And she might give me a run for my money her whole life, and that is okay. These Colombian Tegus, which are smaller than Argentine Tegus, are actually known for being a little bit more sassy and stubborn than the Argentine Tegus, but we love her anyway. And she has been a great animal ambassador. I think she has been really, really well behaved for these last few seconds, so I'm going to reinforce this behavior, which I really like. She kind of gave me a little like a little sigh. So that's a great behavior. That's a nice relaxed behavior. So I'm going to go ahead and let her have what she wants. And that is giving her reinforcement for doing what I want, which is just being calm. So when you are trying to train your animal, sometimes, even if it's like a cat is a great example of an animal that is easily influenced by reinforcement. Most animals are easily influenced, and it benefits them to have positive reinforcement or to have other methods of animal training. But what I'm basically doing right now, and what you could do for like a cat that you want to calm down, once the cat is calm, once the animal is calm, the lizard, whatever it may be, and they kind of are calm for a few seconds or however long you want that duration to be, you can actually just set them down when they're being calm. And that is giving them a nice reward of just being put down. Maybe they want to be put down. Maybe they want to be put away. Maybe they want to take a nap. Maybe she's telling me she's ready for bed. Maybe they just want to be left alone for a little bit. That's a great reward. It doesn't always have to be like food or attention or something that we think of normally as rewarding to us. It could just be as simple as being left alone. So we're going to leave Lulu alone. I think she was beautiful and very interesting today. We definitely got a kick out of her being all wiggly. But that just shows you that the job isn't always perfect. We definitely have our fair share of bloopers on this show, and maybe someday, I keep promising you guys this, and I don't know if I'll ever get around to it because it's kind of hard, but I will maybe someday do a blooper video for you guys. I think that would be a lot of fun. I certainly have a lot of funny and weird moments that have happened on the live stream. This is live. This is real life. But I hope you have enjoyed our animal encounter today. Once again, welcome back to Once in a Wild Wednesday. If this has been your first time joining us on Once in a Wild Wednesday, thank you so much for tuning in. We are here each and every Wednesday evening at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. We are located in San Antonio, Texas. If you need us for any sort of event or classroom presentation or animal therapy session or photo opportunity here in San Antonio and surrounding cities, we can travel as well. Please let me know. Our website is down below, and our phone number is down below if you want to contact us for more information on animal encounters here in South Texas. But you can also schedule an animal encounter virtually all over the world. As long as you have internet access, we can bring the zoo to you virtually as well. And those have been very popular this year and last year too. So let me know if you're interested in anything whatsoever. Yes, it's been good to see you, Lamar. It's been good to see you, Ash. It's been good to see everybody today. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like what you've seen today, remember the show's free, but if you like what you've seen today and you want to help our animals and to support what we do and you want to continue to support us and what we do with our animal messaging and our rescuing animals and our, providing lots of fun to our community and lots of educational encounters and all sorts of things to our community and all over the world. If you like what we do at all, thank you so much for supporting us. But you can actually support us through tips and through donations via Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, as well as our Amazon wish list. And those all can be found at onceinawild.com. All the way on the bottom of that website, you can see a button that says donate. And that's the easiest way to find all those links. Please visit that today if you'd like to support us. And I hope you have enjoyed what you see today. If you have enjoyed it, please follow us on Facebook. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as follow us on all of our social media, which is listed down below for you too. And we'll see you guys next week. All right, we'll see you guys next week. We are nothing close to ordinary, but we love to be your friend. Hold our hands and let's have fun together, singing as loud as you can. Everybody singing once in a while. Together. Once in a while. I wanna hear you say once in a while. And that's the fun for me and you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Same place, Facebook, YouTube, 6:30 p.m. Central Time. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.